I love your Canadian accent. It's awesome.
It was Caitlin Clark Mania in Toronto, and yes, that's how you pronounce it. Caitlin and the Fever made their first trip to the Great White North, and fans lined up for kilometers outside Scotiabank Arena, home of the Raptors. I believe it's the 21st time a team has upgraded its arena for Caitlin. And before what would become a record-setting night, the Fever players were having fun with their northern exposure. First, Caitlin, Sophie, and Lexi tried some Canadian snacks. Personally, I would have gone for a crispy crunch and a Mazza burger. And while Sophie embraced Canadian cuisine, the Canadians definitely didn't embrace her. They gave her the business, and the way she handled it? Chef's kiss. Just wait. But before the hostility continued, there was a warm moment with the press. Caitlin was asked about her legacy and impact, and everyone in the Caitlin Clark resistance should probably take notes.
When you think about your own legacy, and when people use the words like Caitlin Clark effect, what do you want that to mean when people think back on your legacy as a player?
Yeah, I mean, I hope at the end of the day, a lot of my favorite players growing up, I don't know how many points they ever ended up scoring, or I don't know how many three-pointers they made. Hopefully it's just the impact that you can leave on people and the way you made them feel, and I think that's kind of been the story of my career, and I hope, when I'm done playing one day, that's what people remember the most about me, is the way I've been able to unite people to cheer on basketball and love a game, or bring people together to, love a sport in a way that they've maybe never have before. There's so many people that have come up to me and been like, I've never watched women's basketball before, and I don't take offense to that. I think that's a really cool thing to, bring people in that have maybe never experienced something that I've loved all my life. And so I hope, when I'm done, that's probably the biggest thing that I'll probably look back on my career and be proud of, is just the amount of people that I've been able to bring in and enjoy the game that I've always loved since I was a young kid.
Embracing new fans instead of getting upset that they haven't been watching since day one. Who knew growing the game could be that simple? Caitlin certainly knows a thing or two about it. The Fever's game against the Dream drew a record 2.6 million viewers on ESPN, peaking near 4 million. And yes, that massive audience also watched Angel Reese miss that late tap-in. Ouch. With another huge audience expected in Toronto, everyone was ready for a battle. The Fever entered on a 4-game win streak, chasing the 3rd seed, while Caitlin was coming off her 4th Player of the Week award, the most in the league. Drop an MVP in the comments for Caitlin. Kelsey Mitchell was also on fire. After needing Reese's late miss to reach overtime last game, Kelsey extended her streak to 19 straight games with 20-plus points. The Fever were a perfect 5-0 when she starts. Meanwhile, the Toronto tempo entered at 10-23, near the bottom of the standings. But with Brittany Sykes returning after an 18-game absence and Marina Mabrey in the mix, anything could happen. And then the fireworks started. Indiana came out flying. Aaliyah found Kelsey. Caitlin set Kelsey up beautifully. Then Clark created space for her first bucket before finding Lexi for another score. It must have been the ketchup chips. Indiana jumped ahead 12-4, and it looked like a blowout was coming. Kelsey then buried a 3 to make it 16-4, but Toronto finally found its rhythm and the crowd came alive. Then those cheers instantly turned to boos when Sophie Cunningham stepped onto the court.
Pass. Scan the QR code and subscribe today for just $14.99 a month.
But wouldn't you know it? Instead of crying about the boos, Sophie came right back and drained a 3, giving the Toronto crowd the Labatt Blues. The big story, though, was Kelsey Mitchell dropping 16 points in the first quarter. And in the second, it looked like the game was already over. Caitlin hit the step-back 3, then found Aaliyah Boston with a beautiful pass. Kelsey showed Angel Reese how to finish a fast break, while Caitlin got bumped and still converted the shot. Indiana led 48-32. This looked finished, but Toronto refused to go away. Early in the third, Kelsey got into it with, you guessed it, Marina Mabrey. That's something you don't see often from Kelsey. She made it very clear, don't do that again. And you have to love the pushback. That only fired Kelsey up. Caitlin then hit back-to-back 3s to stop the Toronto run, including one where she had enough time to practically make a Tim Hortons run. Mitchell took over again. Bang, bang, bang. She had 29 points after 3 quarters, giving her 20 straight games with 20-plus points, tying the WNBA record. And Indiana needed every bit of it because Caitlin was struggling with turnovers and Lexi was missing open threes. Then Kelsey disappeared for the entire fourth quarter. Toronto kept fighting and slowly chipped away at the lead. It looked like the Fever might actually let this one slip when Sophie nailed a three to put Indiana up by 10 late. But Marina answered with 2 straight threes, cutting it to 4. Fortunately for Indiana, Toronto suddenly went cold. The Fever escaped with a 101-95 victory. Not the prettiest win, but it showed how dangerous this Indiana offense can be when the pressure rises. Caitlin finished with 24 points and 7 assists. The turnovers weren't pretty, and it wasn't her cleanest game, but the production was still there. And Caitlin added another milestone, becoming the fastest point guard in WNBA history to reach 700 points in a season. Kelsey, despite sitting out the entire fourth quarter, finished with 29 points, and that gave us another WNBA record. Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell have now each scored 20-plus points in the same game 16 times this season, the most ever by a duo in a single WNBA season. And I want to finish with Sophie, because she took plenty of heat from the Toronto crowd. But after shooting the lights out, she now leads the league in three-point percentage. And if you want to hear a PR masterclass, just listen to how she handled that hostile crowd.
You got booed a little bit tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
I was kidding.
Especially
I
for
know.
us.
But you know what? I will tell you, I want to shout out the Tempo crowd in the city. I think we've had so much fun. It's my first time being in Canada. It's a lot of our first times being in Canada. But the crowd was absolutely amazing. And, you know, I think that's what sports is all about. You're going to get boos, you're going to get cheers. But just the fact that they're so passionate, they're loud, and they're putting on for the city, I think it's amazing. So shout out to you guys for coming out and supporting.
Notice how she didn't get anyone kicked out or call them disrespectful. That's how you handle it. They're sports fans. Fans boo. Well played, Sophie. You got the last laugh. And the Toronto fans can drown their 10 to 24 sorrows in a cold Labatt. If you're still here, drop A in the comments because you're a winner for sticking around. Thanks for watching.